to share. Great.
Okay.
All right, great. So welcome everyone, and thanks once again, Lois, for giving me the opportunity to speak in this community. I don't know if we're going to have Godsent as well, the CEO of Zion Tech. If he's going to be available, that would be great as well. But I
Currently
want to
he's in another. Sorry, can you hear me?
Okay, yes, I can hear you.
Okay, currently he's in another engagement, but he would get back. He will get to us.
All right, great. So I want to welcome
Okay.
everyone to this amazing session. If you can be on camera, that would be great. So we get to see each other. Just like Lois said, my name is Samba Otavis. I'm a medical doctor who later transitioned into tech, now leveraging my medical expertise in healthcare as well as in tech. And before I make progress with the presentation, I want to acknowledge the presence of a co-founder, Dr. Kizito, who, though at work at this time in the US, he's here. He actually made out time to join this session. I really appreciate it. I can equally see right here we have the CTO for SolaviseTech in the person of Kevin Tue, all the way from Nairobi, Kenya. Kevin, we appreciate having you right here. All right. So can we have people get on camera, please? I love to see people on camera. Everywhere is just dark. What's happening? Great, Marshall. Dr. Marshall, good to have you. Awesome. If you can be on camera, that would be awesome. That would be great. Thank you. So as I begin my presentation, this is not going to be like any other presentation you've had out there. I want to encourage everyone to be focused. I would want to roll this presentation for the next 30, 45 minutes. I want you to write down every question that you may have. We would address questions at the end of the presentation, right? So I want to encourage everyone to be as attentive as much as possible, okay? Now, if you have questions as well along the line that you really would want to react or any reactions, you can always drop them in the chat. The CTO, Kevin, will always be available as well to respond to some of those reactions, right? So now I'm doing this presentation from Cameroon, and it would amaze you that a concept like this in tech, you'd have somebody who has a medical background who is coming to do such a presentation, who transition to tech. And when I talk with so many people, I get the same feeling, the same energy every now and then. Most people have made to understand that cloud or IT is something that is very complicated, it's very difficult to understand. But I'm here to like demystify this because when you have that barrier in your mind that it's something which is difficult to understand, you would not want to be open-minded to learn. And I've seen a lot of people that had zero tech background that are succeeding today in tech just because they had an open mind, right? So intermittently, I'm going to be prompting you guys to respond in the chat, and I want you guys to equally respond just so that we can have an interactive session, right? So are we good to go? Just drop a yes in the chat. Just drop a yes in the chat if we are good to go. Drop a yes in the chat. Awesome. Drop a yes in the chat just to show that you're engaged as well. So this is an orientation, guys. There is a lot that we can say about cloud computing and DevOps, but today's session is tailored just towards giving an orientation to the concept, right? So we're going to follow this plan. First thing, I'm going to give you guys a little about my background, what really drove me into cloud computing and DevOps. And I'll show you guys what cloud computing is all about and what DevOps is all about as well. Then what it entails for you to transition to cloud computing and DevOps, if in case that's something you want to engage into, right? And we're going to end up with question and answers. So let's begin. Now, like I did tell you guys, I started my journey as a medical doctor and left medical school 4 years back. before I left school, I lost my dad. I always like to talk about this story because for some people, the reason why they are not pursuing their dreams or pursuing their career is because they lost a loved one. And I always want to use that story to encourage someone that, hey, you know what? You really need to know what you want and go after it, no matter the challenges or circumstances that come your way. So I had that dream to be a surgeon or an obstetrician gynecologist. And I did so well through my medical training with the support of my late father. But before I left school, right, he passed away, and I had to close his eyes and confirm his death. And it was really hard as I was leaving medical school because I was faced with the reality of life, right? I had to handle family, I had to handle my career, I had to handle business because I actually was very, very business minded. And with all these challenges, it was difficult just to handle that with my job alone. So I got I got 4 job offers. I was working in 4 clinics. I was really hard working in all these clinics, but at one point, it was really tough to cope, especially when it comes to handling my health, handling family, and all of that. So that reality became a very big challenge, and the pressure, that I had, as well as the competition on the ground, pushed me to start thinking, to start searching on how to make things better. Even though with the fulfillment I had from work, I still wanted to have more time with my family. I could be communicating to someone here who maybe you're doing so well at your job, or maybe you have those big dreams, but you're asking yourself, how can I be able not only to be able to help other people, but also be able to have more time for myself and family, right? So probably this is something that resonates with you. So as well as I got to that point where I was asking myself, can I have a skill set that can permit me be able to still help people very well, that will not take away much of my family time, but I can still do it from home, right? I can do it from home and I will still be able to millions and millions of lives. All right. So, Lois, I would love if you can mute those who are unmuted. Right? I see maybe Stumble is unmuted, so there's some interference in the back end. Okay. So these were the things that pushed me to start searching, and I got introduced into tech. I had zero tech background, guys. I had zero tech background. And now, why tech? If you look at how things have evolved over time, there is need for you to upskill. No matter what you find yourself doing right now, it's important that you get to upskill. Probably there are people here who have some tech skills, some people who don't have tech skills at all, but it's important to consider adding tech to whatever you do. You can see right here how Netflix started, right? They just simply had this little disk. But today, as we speak, Netflix actually is hosted on a cloud provider. It's actually hosted in the cloud. And as we go down, you're going to understand what the cloud is all about. For some people, when they hear the word cloud, it seems like, something in space. No, it's not something in space, right? We're going to understand what the cloud is all about. Now, LinkedIn, some of you probably got this invitation through LinkedIn, but you can see here, LinkedIn started just as a newspaper, right? Physical newspaper. But today, you're able to access LinkedIn over the internet. You can see how WhatsApp started, right? Just as a fixed phone. You can see how Facebook started, guys. And over time, probably some people are joining this call on their smartphones and so on. You can see the evolution of phones over time, right? You can see how things are getting smarter. So it's time for you, or for each and every one, to also think of upskilling. You can see, for those who are using probably an iPhone here, this is how iCloud started, right? Just by a simple disk. But now, everything is hosted somewhere remotely that you can access your resources, right? Without necessarily having to move around with physical disks. As well as Gmail, you can see how Gmail started, right? Gmail simply started off by, physical transfer of mails. But right now, you're able to access your mails remotely without necessarily having somebody to move here and there to deliver all of that. And these are possible thanks to cloud technology. These are things that we've been using every now and then or on a daily basis, but we're not aware that it's cloud technology. So I'm here to make you understand that we are actually using this on a daily basis. So now let's get to the definition of what cloud computing is all about. As you can see there, I want you to imagine a scenario where you can access every capability of your laptop that you have right now from anywhere in the world, anywhere you find yourself in the world, right? Remotely, you can be able to access those resources. Is it maybe the ability to store some data, maybe movies or your research work and things like that, or you need some power to process your applications, or maybe some of you have background here in data analytics and so on. You want to be able to analyze data, and you want to be able to run those applications or run your queries or analysis, right, from a computer that is located remotely that you can access anywhere you find yourself in the world, right? So this is simply what cloud computing is all about. So like the definition says, it says it's a technology model that involves delivering a variety of computing services such as compute power, storage, databases, networking, software, and more, right, over the internet. And over the internet is what is defined as the cloud, right? Without you necessarily having to be there physically. So you can be able to, just with having access, for example, to your email. I'll give an example. In the past, maybe you had to write all your phone contacts in a book, right? In a phone book, in a physical phone book. Each time you have to call someone, probably have to access that phone book to make a call. But right now, what do you notice? You notice that you can be able to save your contacts in your email, right? In your Gmail. And in case you lose your phone, right, you can get a new phone. The moment you sign up your email to your phone, what happens? You're able to retrieve all your contacts. Why? Because those contacts were saved remotely in a storage on some Google servers, right? We call them Google servers. So this server just simply mean that these are giant computers that you have somewhere in many parts of the world. So this is a picture of how the cloud computing infrastructure looks like. So now come to think about it. Let's say you want to start up a business. Okay, you want to start up a business. Every business probably will need to store data about their transactions. Probably they will need to interconnect departments. Maybe you have a marketing department, you have a sales department, you have maybe the management team and so on, you know, finance. All those departments will have, probably they're going to have computers in each of those departments. And then they're going to have maybe a central computer room, which is called like a server room, where they're able to interconnect all those departments, right, and make sure that things are running seamlessly. Now, instead of a company to start off and have to go create their own physical structure like this, you can see the diagram on the right. These are giant computers, we call them servers, right? These are physical servers that every company would probably have to set up to be able to manage their resources, okay? And now, when they set up all of these, now when they have employees that are onboarded into the team or into the company, they will have to manage them. Like you can see here, identity, right? They have to manage identities. Now they have to store different data. They have to monitor everything that's happening in the environment. Okay, they have to collaborate. Okay, all through, and so on. Now, instead of these individual companies having to purchase these physical infrastructure, set them up, get security guards to, you know, have to install physical security around the areas, having to employ engineers, hardware engineers, who are going to make sure that every maintenance work is done on these physical servers. They have to do updates, patches, and so on. All right. Now, there are companies that have decided to move around the world and build physical structures like this, giant structures like this. And then they move on to business and tell them, you know what, guys, you no longer have to spend money trying to set this up. Why? Because we have gone around the world and we have looked at physical locations where we've set up these giant structures. And now we simply just make them available on the internet. So there's a website. And who are these companies that have done this great work? We have companies, top 10 companies. For example, we have Amazon, AWS, where I'm a certified AWS. AWS stands for Amazon Web Services. All right. This was the first company that got into the business. They got to a point where They had so many computers that they bought, for their business, but they noticed that. Maybe Oluwa say, can you kindly mute please? They noticed that they had these computers that were actually idle. Many of them were actually idle. So they decided to create this subsidiary company under Amazon called Amazon Web Services. And they made this company to rent out these compute resources or these computers, these giant computers. So now any company that wants to get into business can simply rent.
Sorry, Oluwa's Shane, please can you mute yourself?
Since you're host, can you kindly mute your please? Thank you very much. So these companies went around the world and created these giant structures. Like you did see in the previous slide, they have these giant structures in many parts across the world. For example, Amazon, they started off in the US, in North Virginia, then they expanded to other parts of the US, then to Canada, in Africa, they expanded to South Africa, and then now they have smaller zones in Nigeria, in Kenya, then in Europe, in Australia, and so on, right? Then we have Microsoft Azure, then you have Google Cloud, then you have Alibaba, and all of these others, right? But there are many other cloud providers. But these are kind of the major cloud providers that we have in the market. They have like the greatest share in the business, okay? Like I said, the first company that got into the business is Amazon. So now, there are different ways in which these companies are making their services available to companies who want to use them. And the different types of offerings are what we call infrastructure as a service, what we call platform as a service, and software as a service. So I'm going to break it down. So we have different ways in which companies are making their services available. Let's say, for example, today we are having this meeting using a platform like Zoom. Zion Tech is a company that offers different solutions. SolaviseTech is a company that offers different solutions. We're in partnership. But right now, we did not decide to create our own tool, which we want to use for our internal communication. Let's say we want to have meetings with staff, we want to have meetings with external candidates, right? We are using a tool like Zoom. Zoom is a tool that has already been built as a finished product. And Zoom right now actually is hosted on the cloud as well. So Zoom being delivered to us as a finished product is called a software as a service. So we just purchase this software and we get to use it directly. If there is need to improve on the software tool, maybe there is need for a new feature to be added to the Zoom software, maybe there is need for maintenance work to be done, maybe security updates and so on. We don't have any direct control on all of that, right? We can only come and see, hey, now Zoom has added a new feature. For example, you're able to create breakout rooms. How was that done? We don't know, right? It was just on the back end. And so we just leverage that. Oh, now it's possible to annotate or maybe to do a remote control of someone's screen who is presenting, right? So we just make use of that. Oh, it's possible to share a whiteboard on Zoom right now. How did that come to play? We have no idea, right? But the Zoom cloud provider or the Zoom company was able to, set up all those functionalities, and we're just using them. For example, you want to send emails here and there, right? What do? Simply go online, maybe create a Gmail, create a Yahoo Mail, maybe create any other kind of mail, right? A Hotmail and so on. And you just go ahead and use that service. It's actually called a software as a service. So when it comes to, for example, Amazon, they have their software as a service tools. For example, instead of us using Zoom, we could use a tool like, or a software like Amazon Chime to have our meetings, right? And so on and so forth. So, but then the customer who is using this software as a service does not have much control at all over the functionality or over making updates or whatever on that tool. Why? Because the owner, the cloud provider, actually does that. The customer is just simply concerned about their business. They just want to go ahead doing their business, right? Now, there is equally what we call the infrastructure as a service. For infrastructure as a service, the customer is so concerned about being able to have full control over creating the infrastructure and then deploying their applications on the infrastructure and managing them. So they want to have full control. Like, for example, if we want to start up our company, say Solavistech wants to start up their company, they want to now build a physical infrastructure, have a physical office, hire workers, set up computers. They have full control over that, right? They're able to determine the type of resources they're provisioning and everything about the infrastructure. They're able to control that, right? And also the application they're going to install on those servers, okay? But now when it comes to cloud computing infrastructure as a service, the customer is not actually provisioning these resources physically. They have full control over provisioning the resources online. That's what we call it now, virtually, right? Or over the cloud. And then when it comes to maintenance of the application, maintenance of the infrastructure, security patches, and so on and so forth, updates here and there, they have full control over that. That's what we call infrastructure as a service. Now, platform as a service is a scenario where there is a shared responsibility. The customer doesn't have that full control over, say, some infrastructure provisioning, right? But then the cloud provider handles a bulk of that responsibility, while the customer then takes charge of part of the responsibility, right? So this is simply what we're trying to say, that we have these different models: the model of infrastructure as a service, the model of platform as a service, and the model of software as a service. And irrespective of what model the customer is interested in, there are different ways in which we can deploy the cloud. You can either deploy by what we call a private cloud provider. For example, Apple. Apple actually runs on the cloud, but they are not sharing their cloud service with external customers. They're having everything just by themselves. They run everything by themselves. But then we have what we call public cloud providers. With public cloud providers like Amazon, like Google, like Microsoft, like Alibaba, they actually make available their compute resources or their servers to external customers to be able to rent them and host their applications. That's what we call now public cloud, right? Then we now have what we call hybrid. Hybrid model is in a scenario where you have a company that is not actually existing in the cloud. They are running everything on-premise by themselves. They're able to manage everything by themselves. But now they look at the cloud and they say, you know what? This cloud computing concept is interesting. We would want to benefit from some of the offerings offered by the cloud provider. So they want to now have a shared way of hosting their resources. So they can now say, you know what? For example, we run all our business on site where we manage everything, but probably we can just use AWS, for example, like to back up our data or back up all our applications. So while they're running on-premise, they now back up all of their resources online, right? Maybe with a cloud provider, or maybe they can say that they could have, part of some of the applications in the cloud, while some of the applications are going to be with them on-premise. And also, besides this model, there's also what we can call multi-cloud, which means that a company can actually use more than one different cloud provider. All right. So, guys, does it make sense up to this point? If it makes sense, just drop yes in the chat, or just drop anything interesting in the chat. So let me know we are still here together. Let me know you're getting it up to now. Awesome. Excellent. So I became a bit worried when leaving med school. I had an unfortunate situation where I lost my laptop and all my medical documentation was saved in my laptop. When I lost my laptop, everything was gone, guys. Everything was gone. It could be the same thing with you right now, where everything you're doing is saved in your laptop, or maybe you're backing up some of it in an external hard disk drive, or maybe in a flash drive. Come to think about it, what happens if that laptop gets bad today? What happens if that external hard disk drive gets bad, or your flash gets bad, or that disk you're actually saving your content gets bad? What happens? Everything is gone. That's actually what happened with me, guys. If not for the fact that I was able to document my medical thesis through my email, which I used to share with my supervisor, I wouldn't have access to any of those content, right? So thank God I was able to have access to my thesis because I was able to back that up in my email. But then it was a great lesson for me to say, you know what? Everything I do right now, guys, I save it remotely. So all I need to do is have access to my email anywhere I find myself, and I'm able to have access to my resources. So this is going to be an eye-opener for everybody. If there's one thing you should get out of this training today as you go out there, you should think about making use of the cloud, right? So now, having understood this, so we've talked about the different deployment models, and so let's take a look at the benefits of cloud computing. So what are some of the benefits of cloud computing? Number one, we want to look at cost savings. Cost savings, right? So customers are so obsessed. They are coming to the cloud. They want to make use of the cloud because of the ability to save costs. So how can cloud computing help customers or companies to save costs? Number one, imagine that you want to start up a business in Nigeria, or want to start up a business in Canada or in the US or in Cameroon. What do you need to do? Number one, you need to do an assessment of your target market. How many customers are we anticipating? That's kind of what we call a capacity decision which you're going to make. When you make a capacity decision now, you'd want to bring on board employees or build a physical infrastructure and set up systems that will be able now to address your target audience. Let's say, for example, we want to build a hospital. That hospital is going to be structured in such a way that the hospital wards will be able to receive or accommodate a certain number of patients. Or let's say a school, you're building a school, a physical infrastructure. Every classroom will be able to accommodate a certain number of students. It can't go beyond this number of students, right? Now you have to set up all those physical logistics. But think about it, how much it will cost a company to set that up in one physical location. Let's say you start up in Lagos, and then in the future, business starts booming, right? You want to expand from Lagos to another city. Let's say to Abuja, or you're in Cameroon. You start off in Yaoundé, then you move over to Douala. Now that's what's happening, let's say locally. Think about you now trying to expand your business from Nigeria, let's say to Ghana, and then say to South Africa, then to the US. You have to go to each of these countries. You have to be able to do feasibility studies in each of these locations and install or establish your company. Come to think about how much constraint you went through doing that locally, and now you have to expand to all these different physical locations. Guys, it entails a lot of physical costs, and not everybody will be able to do that. Not everybody will have the finances to set up such a business. So you see that with cloud computing now, you no longer need to bother about buying those physical computers, setting them up. All you simply need to do is go online, go to Amazon, aws.amazon.com, you log in, you can create an account, you just simply do what? You start up your business straight away. You can sign up with Amazon, get an account, and then you are good to go. Within a few minutes, you're able to have your business set up without having to bother about a physical location. And then, let's say you start up your business and you're targeting, let's say, a particular geographic location. You start having customers that are, in need of your services in another country. You can simply use the different services that are in that cloud provider, to be able to point your application to those different geographic locations, and you can be able to serve customers. Think about it right now. Over about 17 persons on this call, you sit at the comfort of your home, attending this meeting, right? Everybody is doing this remotely. So you are able to sit at the comfort of your home and do business or work for companies irrespective of your physical location. That's why companies are so obsessed using cloud computing right now. It helps them to do what? To save costs. All right. Number two benefit is the aspect of security. When it comes to security, it's actually what we call a shared responsibility model. There is a shared responsibility in the security right here. There's a shared responsibility, and in this shared responsibility, there is part of that security that is supposed to be carried out by the cloud provider, and part of that responsibility by the customer. I take, for example, if you start up your business, probably you want to build a physical location, you want to hire security guards, you want to put in place a fence around it, and all of that physical work. All right. But now, if you're starting your business remotely using a cloud provider, the cloud provider is responsible for that security of the cloud. When we say security of the cloud, means that all of that physical security, the cloud provider is going to be responsible for doing that. So you don't have to bother about, are there security guards taking charge of this right now? Or is there a fence around this? Are there security cameras around the cloud infrastructure? In case if there is a breakdown of the servers, are there going to be people responsible
Hello,
do all of our
please,
maintenance.
Mr. Abraham, can you please mute yourself?
Right. So you no longer bother about all of that, right?
Hello, Mr. Abraham, please can you mute yourself? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. So you no longer bother about all of that physical security because the cloud provider actually takes charge of that. Next thing is the cloud provider now knows that there are some security features that you need. I think, for example, you have everybody here probably your on your laptop or your smartphone. Every now and then you get this security notifications that, hey, you know what, update your security features. Maybe you update security features. The cloud providers now have been able to design those features, and they've installed on their platforms. But now you as the customer, us now as the experts who understand the technology, we now come on board to help companies do what? Be able to leverage these features. So in as much as the cloud provider has been able to build that and set them up, you now need experts who understand the technology. That's when you can now have experts like cybersecurity experts, cloud security experts, who understand how to use this technology, and they're able to secure companies remotely in a situation where they find themselves, right? So that's the beauty in this. Then also have what we call hybrid deployment and high speed, right? Think of it like you want to be able to expand your business from Nigeria right now into the US. You don't have to travel from Nigeria to the US to establish a business. No, you don't have to do that. Right from the comfort of your home, you can expose your business to those in the US. Right from the comfort of your home, you can expose your business to those in the UK. Anywhere you find yourself, within minutes. So there is that speed and agility that you have that comes to the cloud that you will not have when you're doing your business traditionally. Also, the aspect of what we call scalability. What do we mean by scalability? Scalability just simply means that you're able to build a system in place that is able to adapt to changes in the amount of traffic coming to your application. Come to think about it now, if you start up your business today locally and you have servers or computers locally that's able to withstand a traffic size of, let's say, 100, right, customers, or let's say 500 customers. What happens on a good day when business really gets good and you start having 1 million customers that want to access your application? If you simply bought computers and installed them locally, that could be able to withstand 500 customers, and now you're having 1 million customers that want to access the application. Guys, drop in the chat what is going to happen to your website if you have 1 million customers that are trying to access your website that is only built to handle 500 customers. What is going to happen, guys? What experience are you going to have? Drop in the chat. All right, it can crash, okay? All right, it's going to crash, right? Okay. All right. So, because those customers are going to overwhelm, right? It's going to overwhelm your website. Exactly. Your website will be overwhelmed and your computers can actually crash, guys. It can actually crash. So now, if you set up your system locally, do you have that flexibility to say, you know what, maybe you actually bought, say, 10 giant computers to serve a traffic size of 500. Now, if you start having 1 million customers, can you just easily go to the market and buy new computers, come set them up to be able to now handle 1 million customers, guys? Can you just do that easily, say, in a few minutes or in a day? Drop in the chat. Is it possible for you to just easily do that in a few minutes, so that it's able to accommodate that traffic size? It will be difficult. It will not be possible, guys. It will be difficult. So now you notice that what customers are going to have a very bad experience. Have you had that kind of scenario where you go to a website, you want to shop, and then it takes a very long time for it to load, right? It's really taking long to load because so many clients are overwhelming the site, right? So you see that it's difficult. That's one challenge. Number two challenge is the fact that you could really go and buy, let's say, imagine you go buy 100 servers, or let's say 100 computers to serve so many clients, but along the line you were anticipating 500 customers. But what happened? You now just had 10 customers. So guys, what is going to be the problem in this scenario? You were expected to have 500 customers, but now you are having just 10 customers. what would be the challenge for the company in that scenario? What would be the challenge for the company? What would be the challenge for the company? You actually bought 100 computers to serve 500 customers, but now that is a running loss. Exactly, guys. I have a very smart audience here. You guys are going to be losing money. You're going to be losing money, waste of resources. So why? Because when you start your business, right, you can never tell how many customers you will have. You can just simply guess. For example, we're anticipating maybe to have 50 participants for this meeting, but now we're having just say 16 participants or 18 maximum thereabout. So you see that if this was something done physically, there could be waste of resources because we would have purchased equipment expecting to have what 50 customers, but we don't have that. So now with the cloud, we are able to set up automation in place that will monitor the way customers are accessing the website and say, hey, you know what, right now, we're having 100 customers. Please speed up more computers to accommodate 100 customers. Hey, you know what, right now, let's say during December period, it's noticed that many people are going to be doing a lot of shopping here and there on e-commerce websites, or maybe those who are in the US, they're about Canada. There's a day called Black Friday period where people are not buying, at discounted rates. So these systems are able to do what? Automatically provision many computers to serve clients. Or think about it. People watch movies more when? On weekends or during weekdays, guys. When will people watch movies more? Weekends or weekdays? Weekends or weekdays, guys? When would people watch movies more on Netflix? All right. So now people are going to watch movies more on weekends, right? So it therefore means that automatically you don't want somebody to sit there and keep on, spinning up computers every now and then or shutting them down. So since we're going to watch movies more on weekends, please, can we have an automatic system in place that can provision more computers that will be able to handle customers and so on, as well as we are able to remotely back up, guys. We're able to remotely back up everything that we do. So this is how you're able to discuss the benefits between using cloud computing and just having traditional IT. Almost everybody here is used to traditional IT, right? So when it comes to the consumption, there's a shared responsibility model. Now, when it comes to the ease of use, right, it's much easier to use the cloud. You can scale on demand. When it comes to availability, come to think about it right now. If you start up your business, right, in a particular location, and let's say you are faced with a natural disaster, say a flooding incident, or let's say there is a fire outbreak that occurs, all right, what happens? Your business environment is burnt down, everything is gone, guys. So you bear the brunt, you bear full responsibility of that misfortune. But when you come now to the cloud, you can be able to make your application available in more than one physical location. You can actually have your application replicated in like 10 different locations in such a way that if a natural disaster occurs in one location, you can simply redirect your customers to be served in another physical location. And so your customers will not feel the impact of that disaster. That's the concept of what? High availability, guys. And you're able to provision your resources within few clicks online. All right. So that is one of the beauty that comes. And also, like we said, for cost, you just simply pay for what you need. All right. But are we going to say that all of these advantages come without challenges? No. Whatever has advantage also has disadvantages, right? Also comes with challenges. But then when you try to weigh it relatively, it is much more beneficial. And many companies are trying to adopt this cloud computing. It's one of the top growing IT careers today, together with data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence, data analytics, and so on and so forth, right? So now, when it comes to the different challenges you could have, privacy challenges, cost management challenges. Sometimes you could have experts who are not very versed or who are not very knowledgeable about being able to put in place cost-saving mechanisms. Also, sometimes you could have an infrastructure that's actually spread across multiple environments. So it's actually difficult to manage all these complex environments, right? As well as we have performance issues and so on and so forth, right? Now, that's what we have when it comes to cloud computing, right? And so now I want to delve into what we call DevOps. So probably you've heard about DevOps, right? And you may be asking yourself, what is this DevOps all about? Okay, so DevOps just simply means development and operations. DevOps is just a breakdown of two things, development and operations. And so it's not like a particular tool that you have to learn. It's just simply a culture. It's just simply a way of doing things. It's just simply a strategy that can be employed in different environments. But here this actually came about from about early 2007, where companies were looking at how they can be able to streamline or build software faster, from the point of developing the software or coding the software, and then actually making it come to life. So the team that was responsible, or that is responsible for actually coding software, are called developers, right? Those guys are the ones that are so heavy on understanding programming languages like Python, Java, Node.js, and so on. They are so interested in all of that. But in the past, they had to spend so much time to develop the code from start to end before they now get to the operations team that will now deploy the software and make it available to end clients. All right. And some at the end of the day, there used to be, a big challenge because the outcome, probably was not actually what was intended, what was needed. But now there was need in the business to actually connect these two departments to be able to work seamlessly in such a way that they can easily communicate, collaborate all along the journey, and be able to provision software even faster. So that's why you see here the different steps or the different components of the DevOps culture has to do with what, starting with planning on the entire process, coding, and then deploying, and so on. So these are the different steps that we could have. Like, we start off by planning on the project, understand the different features, like want to be an application, say WhatsApp. If you want to be an application like WhatsApp, okay, clients need to be able to send text messages, they need to be able to send videos, post status, and so on, send audio. So we get all those features with this. And once we're done from the planning phase, the next phase that is involved now is getting to developers who now write the code, right? They now have to write the code of the application. After the code is written, the code now has to be built. So all of that now probably have different developers working remotely in different parts of the world. We now have to combine their different codes, build them. After the code is now built, we can't just send it out to customers. We now need to test to see if the code is working, all right? If the application actually serves the purpose for which we actually need. Once it's tested, if it doesn't meet the need, we can always come back and say, hey, developers, can you now, make these adjustments, because as we've tested, maybe there could be some security challenge and so on. Everything is fixed. Now we can now do what? We can now release, okay, or we can now deploy the application. Now, once we deploy the application, all right, now, every now and then we need to monitor everything that's going on, right? So this is done in a continuous manner, what we call continuous integration and continuous delivery or deployment, all right? So after all of this is fully done, guys, then we are able to have our software come up to life. But then to do this, guys, in fact, there are several things involved. This is just a handful of the different tools or applications that we can use to be able to carry out these processes in the DevOps environment, right? With the DevOps technology. So DevOps actually is a practice that can be carried out of the cloud, as well as you can have DevOps on cloud. So you can actually practice this on a particular cloud provider. So there's some process that you're going to carry out using DevOps methodology, purely using cloud tools, let's say AWS tools or Azure tools or Google Cloud tools and so on, as well as you could equally integrate other tools that are what we call open source tools together with cloud provider tools, all right? So that's what we actually have there on a high level. But then each and every one of these, when it comes to transitioning into the cloud or DevOps space, we take each of these tools, we break them down, we teach you on how you're able to build or collaborate with people, experts, irrespective of where you find yourself. So you may now be at the point of asking yourself, now I want to transition to cloud, or I'm interested in this. What does it entail for me to do? What can I do? What are the different career paths? Now, you could be somebody who is so interested in actually designing the architecture. So let's say, for example, you want to build a house. You bring in an architect who is going to understand your use case, how you want your house to look like. And then he does what? He now puts in a diagram what you have in your mind. So that's called an architect. So in the same light, in the cloud, you have some people who understand how to be able to build the design or set up a design of how the application should look like, right? So we call them cloud solutions architects. So they're actually the ones responsible for drawing the designs. And so they're kind of like subject matter experts. They understand all the different aspects of the business, now connecting together with the product owners and team leads, right? So now the actual engineers, the cloud engineers, are the people who will now implement that design. Just like an architect is going to design a house, and then an engineer is going to go in there, get their hands dirty to implement that design, right? Same thing happens in the cloud. And then the cloud developer is actually a developer who is able to, code and deploy code in cloud environments, right? As well as we have cloud administrators who are now going to like, assign roles, create users, manage them here and there. We also have security engineers. If you are somebody who is more focused on the security side of things, DevOps engineers who are more focused on trying to automate things every here and there, and so on. So forth. There are different hats which you can have out there, but then each of these persons get to collaborate one to another. So then you may be asking yourself, what are the key skills that you need if you must be a great cloud computing expert or DevOps engineer? I would want to break them down into two kinds of skills, guys: hard skills or technical skills, and soft skills. I want you guys to write this down. Anybody can learn the technical skills. Write this down. Anybody can learn the technical skills. But what truly matters, I always say this in every environment, is your soft skills. What are the soft skills? Your ability to communicate, your ability to connect with people, your ability to network. Those are the things that will make you stand out. Why? Because IT is an ever-evolving field that you could learn a particular tool today, and tomorrow, you know what? That tool is no longer in business. It has been changed, right? There is a new tool that is now being used. So the question is, how flexible are you to learn new tools and softwares? How open-minded are you to collaborate with people in different locations, and so on and so forth. So now, must you be able to code? I tell people, no. I came into the field without any coding experience, but then you know what? I was able to break in it. So you can simply learn what we call scripting, right? And in our training, we get to train people on scripting and coding tools like Python, right? So anybody can learn this programming language. For example, it's very, very easy to understand, and so on and so forth, right? So there are many soft skills and technical skills that you can learn here. And so if you want to transition, what are the different pathways that you can take? Number one, you can actually go through a self-paced study. You can buy online courses, like maybe go to Udemy, buy online courses. You can watch videos say, on YouTube and so on. You can go through certification paths, as well as you can attend boot camps, all right? And then you can also get to have your hands dirty with internships and build projects, right? Cloud and DevOps projects. But I tell people this, like when I was about to transition to cloud, 7 years in medical school, get to work on the field, I could learn whatever I want to learn on my own. But I decided not to go on the self-study path. I decided to join a community and enroll for a boot camp. Why? Because I love to collaborate. I love to network with people. I tell people, when you pay for training, those who pay attention, right? So you want to connect with like-minded people, because nobody knows it all. So that's what actually pushed me to get enrolled. And the next thing you'd want to get into this field is, as you can see, that you need to be focused, guys. You need to have the passion and willingness to learn, because this field is ever evolving and changing. What you learn today may not be relevant in the next 5-10 years. What is going to be added towards that? Get a computer, get access to internet, pay the price, guys. Be patient all along the way. Join online communities and physical learnings. Share your journey. Get mentors, guys. Get mentors. Invest in mentorship. There is just so much you can get for free. I always tell people this. There is just so much you can get for free. You can see this image here. It just shows the practical reality of those, for example, in Africa. Sometimes you have network challenges, and you have to transition from one network provider to the next. And these are my mentors. When I came into the industry, I knew the power of getting mentorship, guys. As I study every now and then, these are my mentors spread over in the US, Canada, India, and Africa. Guys, I am not telling you what I'm not doing myself. These are my mentors in the tech industry. So if you have been asking yourself, how then can I get to start to get this training? If you search online right now, the value of getting into cloud computing and DevOps, you would see that this is a very high income skills. It's quite expensive, but we've been able to partner with companies that are now bringing this to our clients, our customers, or our students at very, very discounted rates for those who are in Africa. So there's an ongoing scholarship. we are starting up the next batch for Cloud Computing and DevOps on the 3rd of June. Guys, if you want to start your career, you can get to the contacts that you have right there on your screen. This flyer is going to be shared in the communities wherever you got the link. You can get to those contacts and enroll, right? We have trainings on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays from 9 to 11 p.m. West African time, which does not interfere. Probably you're working, you're a student, you can get back from school, from work, and you're able to attend your training. So there's a 50% discount for everybody who is taking this training from Africa right now. And while we do this training, we got to run online workshops, right? These are projects we're going to be building, guys. From the month of June to November, we have over about 6 to 8 different projects, live projects, real world experience projects that we're going to be building. So you may be asking yourself, how are you able to defend having work experience? Guys, we're able to connect you with that, as well as you may be asking yourself, is it possible to actually land a remote job after getting these skills? Can you get a remote job from Cameroon, from Africa, wherever you find yourself? Yes, this is my team on a migration project I worked on sometime back last year with a team that was located in different parts of the world, right? You can see people in India, in the US, in Nigeria, and so on. I was the only person from Cameroon on that team. Guys, so you can land a job. And besides that, guys, we run several online orientation events. So, like I said, you need to be part of communities. Be part of communities. Connect with people. Connect with people. Guys, so that's what we have right there for you. And I've been able to put in my journey from medicine into tech in a book. And I'm going to be releasing this book on the 18th of July. So guys, if you ask yourself, is it possible to be able to transition from whatever field you find yourself into the cloud? I can tell you, yes, you can do it. All right. And so if I can do it, you can do it, guys. So you just need to believe in yourself, believe in your dreams, guys. Believe in your dreams. You can do it. If I was able to do it, you can do it. And serving as an AWS community builder, I am so passionate about building communities, mentoring people all along the journey. So a recap of all what we've discussed, we've talked about the basic of cloud computing, the benefits, key takeaways about DevOps, and so on and so forth, guys. And so right now, if you have any questions, I would be so open to get your questions. Thank you for your kind attention. All right, so I want to invite at this point in time our CTO, Kevin. Kevin, if you're right there, I would want to invite you probably to take on the next phase of this, to roll on with those who may have questions or feedbacks, guys. Kevin, the mic is yours. Thank you. If you have any questions, guys, you can just raise up your hand. Kevin is going to be able to conduct the next phase of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Doc. And even before I get on to this, I'd also like to thank you so much, the whole team, Zion Tech Hub, and Godson and Samba. I can see all of you here. I can also see my other senior, Dr. Kizito, on the call, and each and every one of you. I can see Marshall, Blessed, Abiola, Fiani. Don't worry if I don't pronounce your name very well. I'm from Nairobi, Kenya. So I can see Menadi, Kola, Tohib, Abraham, and Algeria, Ghana. So if you have any questions, first of all, that is, I can say that I've never had an orientation as packed as what Dr. Samba has already given you. And if I could have ever gotten such an orientation, maybe I could have had an easier way in cloud compared to because it was all trial and error. And sometimes even though I am from a tech background, I can say I accidentally found myself in cloud and I loved it. And I also love the community around it, but you're having it in a very structured way, and that is awesome. So please, if you have any question, please feel free to raise your hand. And yes, please, Doc Godson, over to you.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
First of all, I want to thank Dr. Samba for the presentation. It's actually, I think it was actually meant for me, let me put it that way. All right, so I'll go straight to my question. I will start from somewhere. I will not start from the beginning, but I'll start from somewhere. All right. So I'm actually someone that's I saw myself over time grew passion for DevOps, right? Being a DevOps engineer was one of the things that I loved. So along the line, I programmed for a DevOps engineer. So unfortunately, as a beginner, I am someone that is very new to the to the space, which was actually meant for I would like to say people that are already into the system. So I started the course at some point. It wasn't beginner friendly, so I fell short. So I actually got to the point of opening an AWS account, try to create instances, do one or two things there. But, when they got more deeper, like I got lost because it wasn't beginner friendly, so I have been looking for an opportunity to actually reinstate myself back to the track. I don't know what advice you could just give to me, because I think what they gave to me then was like, it made me feel discouraged that, oh, it seems like I'm not actually in this space, because being someone that actually I went, I have to, it's not easy. Sorry, it wasn't easy for me to get a virtual dollar card and through the process to get myself into an AWS account and all of that. But the drive was reduced. You understand, when I couldn't follow up. So what advice could you actually give to me in this aspect? Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much, Godson. Over to you, Doc. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. All right, thank you for that awesome question, Godson. So like that equally resonates with me because like I said, I'm someone after service of medical training and working, I could be able to learn whatever I want to learn on my own, right? I could go through a path, but sometimes we get to feel discouraged, and also because of the fact I came with no tech background. I wanted to be in a community where I could collaborate. So one of the things that will help you is, one, if you're going through a training that considers everybody to be on the same platform. So what we do at SolaviseTech is we put everybody, whether they have a tech background or not, we take everything from the basics, right? We hold your hands from the basics, number one. Number two, we get to put you guys into study groups, right? So whatever we do in class, you get to collaborate with each other in study groups, and we have tutors that get to follow you up, right? Every step along the way. And with the project that we're doing, we ensure that there is that collaboration. That continuous feedback loop is what really helps us to be able to take learners with zero tech background onto being able to understand this. You can hear the way I speak right now. Each of my speakers, are you sure you don't have a tech background? Yeah, I don't have a tech background, but I got into tech. So when I'm teaching someone, right, I also consider that person to be in the same position where I was myself, right? I've thought about all those technical jargons and I break things out, and it's the same way every tutor on the team, Kevin here, Asaf, Augustine, everybody on the team understands that we need to put things down for people to understand. So we take off all those technical jargons and put them using stories that will help you to easily understand, right? So that's how we're able to help learners easily understand tech, and we demystify it for them. Make sense? So if you're someone who has tried and it was not beginner friendly, I want to tell you, if you were able to enjoy this, you can now imagine what you go through for the next 6 to 8 months. This is just a replica, it's just a high level of what we do at SolaviseTech to help people understand their way into the cloud space. Thank you. Make sense?
Yeah, thank you so much, Doc. I really appreciate it. I might ask questions after this, but let me give space for other people to ask. Thank you.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. And I can also add on to what Doc is saying before they go to the question in the chat, is I always see that issue about all the struggle of opening an AWS account. And if you don't have one, you can't get your hands dirty. And without getting your hands dirty, then you're frustrated and you're thinking cloud is not for you. And maybe Doc will add on to this, because I know he missed that part of answering that, is when you're part, for example, when you come and join us in the Saturday workshops, which are actually very, very intense. Actually, that is how I joined SolaviseTech. I was in a Saturday workshop, and I was following on what was being done, and there's a lot of patience with our team, Asaf being one of them, and me coming from a tech background, I was already like, when people are dealing with step 1, I was already dealing with step 9. I couldn't keep with the slower pace of the team. And then I decided to text on DM Dr. Samba and told him, I've already seen a problem in the guideline that you provide, the run book. And I've already done a clone of the repository and I've done some edits, please check it out. And that is when he decided to check my GitHub and also my LinkedIn and says, okay, I need to get to know this person. And I also got to know more about SolaviseTech and the whole team. And that is how I joined the team. So what does that tell you? It tells you that even though you can be facing challenges, there's always this thing about community that helps you find ways, because there are always hacks around things. Maybe, for example, you can say, if there's an issue, I always see it in different WhatsApp groups, like there's an issue with this card, you can use this card, or you can open up an account and get this virtual card. It is the one that is currently working. And that is how you're able to see, because there are many Africans who are having these issues, and the people are already opening accounts. Then the beauty around joining some programs like the AWS Community Builder program, you get access to premium packs. For example, Cloud Academy, and it has sandboxes like Quiz Lab. So you don't even have to deal with your own personal account when you're coming through to do these projects. You already have access to those, and you're able to show you the way on how to become an AWS Community Builder. So yeah, so I think maybe Dr. Samba, unless you had something, we can go to the question in the chat. Yes, is there someone who's speaking?
I think that's it from my end. So maybe Kevin, you can pick out the next question on the chat while I get a sip of water. Thank you.
Okay. No worries. So let me see the question. The question is here. It's from Abiola. It says, what correlation does DevOps have with someone who is currently learning data analytics? That is a very relevant question and an important question. So as much as we are having what you call pipelines to build applications like CICD pipelines, we also have what we call data pipelines. So data pipelines is where you're now moving from maybe getting the data, then you're moving from getting the data that the data says, then you're doing cleaning, then you're doing wrangling, then you're now feeding the data into, or even like getting the model, and then feeding the data into the model, then doing some testing, then confirming that the model is performing as expected, maybe using the test set and the training set, and then you're able to now deploy the model. And all this has to happen autonomously. You don't have to do it manually, moving it from one phase of the pipeline to another. So you learning these DevOps principles applies very well when you're dealing with data analytics, because before you get to analyzing the data has to come from a raw format, and you're pre-processing it up to the point where you now analyzing data to make sense out of it. So even when it comes to maybe business intelligence and building these dashboards, you might do a certain tweak on the back end, and you want it to now come to the point of having it on the dashboard, and it's autonomous. You want to tweak something on the back end, and at the end you want to see the result on the dashboard. Anything that is happening in between, that is DevOps. That is all autonomous about continuous integration and continuous deployment. So it correlates very well, and you put yourself on a higher pedestal when you have these skills in DevOps, and you're applying it in a different field, for example, data analytics, AI, ML, or even dealing with maybe, let's say, for example, even these days, because I'm into security, I'm a cloud security person, and there's no time when you can say you'll be able to deal with a security incident faster than a machine. So there are so many things that you can do autonomously. You can be able to set up configurations that anytime there's a deviation in that configuration, or maybe a hacker's already changed a certain setting, it is the machine that changes the setting back, and the hacker is always frustrated in this loop where they cannot escalate their privileges so that they can be able to penetrate the system. So you can see all these can happen autonomously if you're having these kind of things around automation, DevOps, and it comes and infrastructure as code, and all these things all come together and glue together if you're able to learn about cloud and DevOps. So unless there's anything, Doc, you'd like to add on to that, as I believe you got your sip of water.
Yeah, thank you very much for for leaving me around that. Yeah, so pretty much that's what is being done. And so when you come now to the cloud and DevOps, we will now take you into the specific tools that you're now going to use. In AWS, there are pipeline tools, data analytics tools that you're going to make use of and be able to display your stuff on different dashboards, right? There are different tools that also will help you to display on dashboards. Probably there are tools that you know right now that you've learned, but you're also able to learn this and also be able to apply. And the good thing about it is that you must not learn all of it, right? There are many tools out there, but once you understand how it works, say for example on AWS or on Azure, you're able to apply the same concept in whatever environment you find yourself, right? So that's the beauty about it. Hope that answers the question. Since we are wrapping up with the session, I don't know if we have any last question, 1 or 2 questions. So as we wrap up with that, I'll display once again, those who are looking forward to start their cloud journey, you can reach out to us right away. Reach out to us right away with the contacts that you have right there on your screen. Reach out to us right there on your screen to be able to benefit from the training. Right now, we're actually onboarding to start off with a selected few. As soon as we're wrapping up with the training, we're going to be connecting guys over to have real work internships and probably recommending them as well for direct hiring. Thank you very much. I think I'll pass it over right now to our host, Lois.
Okay, good evening. Dr. Samba, I want to say a very big thank you. Everyone who was here could tell that the class was quite interactive. The slides were really interesting. I felt like I should just
Lois, I think we lost you.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now. Thanks for dropping the Discord channel in the chat, Kevin. Yes, over to you, Lois.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Dr. Samba. You did an amazing job taking time to explain it. Every participant can say for a fact that ready to even join the insightful session. They are ready to jump into it because it has been quite good. Thank you so much. The slides were very, very interactive, and I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for taking your time, Mr. Kelvin. I'm so sorry, I can't pronounce the second name, so I don't want to even stop there. Thank you. I like the way you took quite an explanation. There was something you said about data analytics being merged with, with cloud compute, and I did not even know about it, and now I'm hearing about it. So definitely, I would definitely meet Dr. Samba more on it. So he would tell me more about it. So thank you so much. If anybody does still have questions, because we do not want to keep you for long, please drop it in the community, and I'll definitely reach out to Dr. Samba. To those who want to join his program, please, we have already partnered with SolaviseTech.
Solavise.
Forgive me.
Right.
And so
right.
Forgive me, it did not come out well. So definitely every partnership deal right now, you are going to be enjoying it. So please, if you are ready to be a DevOps engineer, you have seen the way important cloud, he has taken his time to explain how cloud computing is very important. So his contact, I think Dr. Samba would give me the authorization to share it to you. Okay, great. Okay, so Godson, I would share this contact with you, or he would drop it in the message if he chooses to. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate the questions. For any more details, come into my DM, ask the questions in the group chat, and I will respond to you, and I will direct it to Dr. Samba. So Dr. Samba, thank you so much. It was quite informative and educational, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Please,
Can I just say a word here?
thank you.
Can I just say a
Yes,
word?
so let's have.
Yeah, sorry,
Thank
who's
you very
that?
much. So let's have Dr. Kizito just say a word. This is a co-founder of
Okay.
SolaviseTech. He's based in the US. He's just going to say a word as we wrap up. And we discussed about in our partnership, everybody in this community gets a 50% scholarship for our upcoming programs. All right, over to Dr. Kizito.
Yes.
Thank you,
please.
Dr. Samba. Thank you, Dr. Samba. And thank you to the host. I really appreciate all of you coming on. Kevin, you are an amazing guy. Everybody that has made up time to come here today, I really appreciate it. So this is a journey that if you started off today, you will not regret it, because the world is getting crazy with IT services, like Dr. Samba has said. Right. So again, I thank the host for organizing this webinar, and we look forward to working with all of you. And we know God is going to provide the resources for Solavise technologies, for our partners, and for all who want to come on board to get the skills that you need for yourself for the future of IT. I do really appreciate it. You all stay blessed and remain focus that you want to get these skills. Thank you, and be well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
All right. Yes, and for Mr. Godsend, he sent his apologies. He was doing an engagement, but he will definitely send his regards. Thank you.
That's fine.
Okay, everyone, good night. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Say, what is your clothes with me?